first of all, I think he was a genius and he's gone now. So it's important to mark 25 years for John.
I think he remembered. I think that most people try and forget high school because it was a lot more difficult than we're willing to acknowledge.
I mean, I didn't really consider myself his muse. I just considered myself his friend at the time, and somebody who just completely got me. And you know, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I loved the movies that I did with him. I loved working with him. I miss him.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. You know, it's a nice thing. It really is. It's a reminder of where we started, and also it's a reminder that it's a privilege to be able to do this for a living. You know.
I saw it so many years ago, and now I'm seeing it. My daughter's here, and she's 16, so I'm going to watch it with her, which is very cool.
I think the issues haven't changed. I think it doesn't matter that technology changed and that we have internet now, we have texting now. All of the issues behind it are all the same. You know, kids wondering how they fit in, and the insecurities, and you know, all of that. I think it never changes, and that's why they're so timeless.
Let's say hi to 4 people who are more than just actors, ladies and gentlemen. They're more than just a brain and a basket case and a princess and a criminal. They are the best friends that most of us never had, and I would say by 25 years in, they're fucking family.
I just wanted to say something. You know, John gave us all our beginning, and with Mrs. Hughes here and James and John Jr., I just wanted to acknowledge his body of work. You know, we wouldn't have careers. We didn't have any of this before John came into our lives, and I just want to acknowledge his entire body of work and say what a privilege it is to have the Hughes family with us tonight. It's not the same. We, of course, would wish John to be here. And he gave us everything. He was a great collaborator, a great friend. You know, he blurred the lines. There was no boss vibe or mentality, and he was, you know, just a great person to work with.
We all seemed like we were on the same team, and he seemed like, yeah, he was very easy to talk to, and he didn't seem like an authority figure. He seemed like one of us. What he told me was that when he was doing casting The Breakfast Club locally in Chicago, and then wrote 16 Candles, he had been given a stack of headshots from ICM, and I was just recently signed to ICM, and he just picked that headshot out and put it on his board above where he was writing, and kind of wrote about this girl. So when it came time to cast that part, he came out to Los Angeles, and they said, who do you want to meet? You can meet all these people. And he said, I want to meet that girl that he wrote the movie for. And so that's the first time we met. He never read me for anything.
Really?
Mm-mm. It was all based on that original meeting.
It's interesting because Hollywood has always been about glamorizing things and putting things on the pedestal. It's always been a youth factory that served the world, that the world has looked to. And I think with John's films, suddenly there was a man who had great conviction, had a great sense of humor, and you know, he was never precious about the scripts. He was already a great writer. He just was really inclusive and truly collaborative, and that's the experience we got. You know, all the way through the performances. As I say, he was sitting there, you know, just rooting you on, and it was that made it for me. You know, I didn't know what I was doing, but he gave us the confidence to say, you know, try something.
Yeah, and the other thing that stands out was the scene where we do smoke pot, and I remember he let the camera just go on and on and on, and just let me just make up all this. You know, I'm so popular. Do you know how popular I am? Like, all that stuff just went on and on and on. And he was so thrilled with it. The entire thing was improvised, and he never let us watch dailies. But he was so thrilled that he grabbed my mom and said, you have to see how brilliant your daughter is. And brought her in, and she was very excited to see something, and sat down and watched me pretend like I was smoking pot for 20 minutes, and did not quite know what to make of it. But he was so enthusiastic about that. It was great.
He wasn't interested, at least when we were doing Breakfast Club, he wasn't, I don't know if you guys remember this, but he wasn't interested in like any of the technical anything. We would rehearse it, and then he would walk away.
I knew I liked that guy for some reason, man.
Like, shoot it the way he wanted to, and he was like, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. The camera will figure it out. And then he'd come over and hang out with us. You know, and just like talk about the scene or work on the scene, and not at all spending, because a lot of the time you'll go to work and there's, you know, 75% of the time is about how are we gonna, you know, frame the shot, and then there's no time for anything else. And we were sort of in our own circle, and he didn't have, I felt like he didn't have any sort of control issue or ego thing about any of the lighting, where the camera was. He just sort of didn't really care. That wasn't his thing.
Okay, John Kapelos plays the janitor, and he does a great job.
He was a Hughes good luck charm, wasn't he? Because he was in
A lot of
16
his films,
Candles as the
And
guy.
he's a
who's
good
marrying his
guy.
sister.
He's a good actor. He's a nice guy. We're shooting that stuff where he rolls his garbage can and cart into the room, and Emilio and I are laughing pretty hard that day. It's just a funny day. It's around 4:15, the witching hour. I'm starting to fall out a little bit, and we're both just laughing really hard. We're shooting John's direction, and John would like us to get a bit more serious to help him off camera. Come on now, don't laugh so much. And then when you're laughing and someone tells you not to laugh, you, of course, laugh more. He gets a little upset with us, and he says, look, real actors, guys that care about things, guys, Kapelos says this to me and Emilio, says, guys that care about their work, guys like Martin Sheen, he cares about it. He had a fucking heart attack on Apocalypse Now. Emilio stops laughing. I fall out of the chair. I'm laughing so hard, it's like in that movie Altered States, when he's hitting his hand against something solid because he's to bring himself back to life. And I don't know where to look. I don't know what to do. But Emilio's now staring directly at Kapelos. I'm gonna give him want some off camera? Here's the off camera. So, John does the 1 or 2 takes, we get, and we're done, and we're done for the day. Everyone wraps for the day. So Kapelos is like, yeah, thanks for all your help, and he goes, walking off. I go chasing after him. I go, John, how you doing? He goes, if I'm doing fine, no thanks to you. I mean, Emilio got serious there at the end. And I'm like, okay, John, I have to ask you something. Do you know what Martin Sheen looks like?
Sorry. I think John, all right, Nancy, I might be wrong about this, but I thought he told me he had his own version of the movie, his own cut of the movie, which was like hours long. He does, right? It exists somewhere. She knows where it is. There's that.
Because there's all
All
this
the stuff is shot that's not there.
in the scene where we all kind of fall asleep, the boredom sequence. It went a lot further. Like I was in a wedding dress at one point. It was sort of like it went into everybody's fantasy. Daydreams, yeah. You. What did you do? I forgot what your thing. Yeah.
I still think it's a testament to his patience and generosity. He wouldn't cut us, he would let the cameras roll. I mean, as Judd said kindly about my work, I don't know what the hell I was doing, but all of us, he just would let the camera roll. He'd keep a take active and alive, because often that's when you find great moments.
I don't think any of us really knew. I think for me it was like maybe 10 years after when people were still talking about it, and there was an incredible amount of interest in it. And I was sitting with this really young girl, and she was talking about the movie was her generation. She was so much younger than me, and I said, it's not your generation, it's my generation. And that keeps happening, where people keep thinking it was written just for them, like Catcher in the Rye felt, when I read it for the first time.
The wonderful cast of The Breakfast Club. We'll see you in another 25 years. Good night.